Welcome back, everyone. This week, we're diving into a crucial topic that affects every aspect of our lives, especially in recovery. Relationships. We'll also tackle a powerful emotion that often goes hand in hand with our journey. Anger. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's get into week 13. First, let's talk about our closest relationships, specifically with our partners. The Bible gives us some powerful guidance here, telling us not to be unequally yoked with non-believers. In the context of recovery, this can be interpreted as not partnering with someone who pulls you away from your goals. Think about it. If your partner's influence is more negative on your recovery, then your influence is positive on their life. You're in a tough spot. It creates a constant battle, a tug-of-war, where your sobriety is at stake. 2. This doesn't mean you immediately end things. But it does mean you need to be honest and realistic. Sometimes, a temporary separation might be necessary. I know, that sounds scary. Divorce is never the first option, and it's certainly not what God desires for a marriage. But your life and your recovery have to be the priority. If your home environment is toxic or triggering, too, you might need to consider a stay at an inpatient rehab facility or a halfway house. This isn't about giving up on your marriage, it's about giving yourself a real chance to heal. It's about building a solid foundation so that you can return to the relationship as a stronger, healthier person. Now, on the flip side, if your spouse supports you through this incredibly difficult time, but they stay faithful and encouraging while you're in rehab or attending meetings, you've got something special. A partner who stands by you during the storm, who educates themselves about addiction, and who is willing to grow with you, that person is a true gem. Cherish that relationship, because that kind of support is priceless. However, we have to be brutally honest about another scenario. If your partner is actively using drugs or alcohol, it becomes nearly impossible for you to stay clean. The constant temptation, the environment, the normalization of substance use, it's a setup for relapse. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. It's like trying to dry off while standing in the rain. In these situations, for your own survival, you must create distance. And this brings us to another critical relationship, the one we have with our children. Jesus had some very strong words about protecting children. He said that if we cause a child to stumble, it would be better for a millstone to be tied around our neck and for us to be thrown into the sea. That's an intense image, and it underscores the immense responsibility we have as parents and role models. Using drugs around your children, worse, even just allowing them to be in an environment where substance use is happening, is causing them harm. It exposes them to trauma, normalizes destructive behavior, and puts their own future at risk. Protecting our children has to be a non-negotiable part of our recovery. It's one of the most powerful motivators we can have. Now, let's shift gears and talk about anger. Anger is a huge part of the recovery journey for so many of us, often. It's tied to a deep-seated feeling of victimization. Do any of these thoughts sound familiar? Why can't she just understand what I need? Why won't he just do what I want for once? This why me mentality can fuel a constant state of frustration and resentment. It keeps us locked in a cycle of blame, preventing us from taking responsibility for our own feelings and actions. 2. It's also important to recognize how anger shows up in your body. Do you start pacing back and forth? Telling you that anger is building up inside. Ignoring them is like ignoring the check engine light on your car. Eventually, something is going to break down. And how do you express that anger? Are you someone who holds it all in, swallowing it down day after day? Or maybe you're the opposite, quick to lash out with sharp words. Neither of these is healthy. The good news is, there are better ways to cope. Here are some practical, alternative strategies you can start using today. When you're in the heat of the moment, your brain's logic center is offline. Step away. Take a walk. Once you feel calm, you can address the person or situation from a place of reason, not rage. Second, talk it out with someone you trust. This could be a counselor, a therapist, your 12-step sponsor, or just a wise friend who can offer an objective perspective. Third, consider an anger support group. Being in a room with others who understand exactly what you're feeling is incredibly validating. You can share your struggles without judgment and learn new coping mechanisms from people who are walking the same path. Get a journal and just let it all pour onto the page. Don't worry about grammar or making sense. Just write down every angry thought, every frustration. This process, called externalizing, gets the anger out of your head and onto the paper, where you can look at it more objectively. It loses its power when it's no longer just swirling around inside you. Fifth, get moving. And finally, a spiritual tool. Pray for the person who made you angry. Nows, this is a tough one, especially when you're feeling hurt. But praying for someone's well-being, even when they've wronged you, shifts your own heart. It moves you from a place of resentment to a place of grace. It's not about letting them off the hook. It's about setting yourself free from the poison of bitterness. So this week, I challenge you to look closely at your relationships and your anger. Are your relationships supporting your recovery or hindering it? How are you protecting the children in your life? And what is one new strategy you can try this week to manage your anger in a healthier way? Remember, recovery is a process of learning new, healthier ways to live. It's not always easy, but it is always worth it. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep up the great work, and I'll see you next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video.